So I am Rebecca Barton, and this is my data analysis protocol. I, came up with 7 steps that I thought would be really easy to follow. This could be printed off and handed to the teachers. It could be turned into a poster and put in their classroom to help them remember the steps of analyzing data. The first step, I think it's important that you align assessments appropriately and you have to give the assessment. So you've got to choose the correct assessment that you're going to give. Second, you've got to collect and analyze the data. Third, you need to organize the data. 4, you need to share the data. 5, you need to set goals. 6, you need to progress monitor and continue to collect data. And then 7, you need to reflect and establish a new plan. I really think that the teachers in my building will be receptive to this. We don't have anything like this now in our building, and I think that they'd be really appreciative to have something to help them analyze data. I also gave them some guiding questions to bring them through each of the steps. So step 1 is choosing the appropriate assessment. So some questions that I gave them are, what do I want students to know how to do when they leave this course? What kinds of tasks will reveal whether students have achieved the learning objective I have identified? What assessment will collect the data I am looking for? And what are the targeted standards or the targeted goal? Just like all of our steps, I can always change the questions around to fit a different subject, to fit a different grade level. It just, they're pretty easy to move around and change up. Step 2, collect and analyze the data. So some questions for that would be, what does the assessment data show? Is there any information that stands out immediately? Are there any patterns or trends that we see in the data? What are some good things and what are some bad things? Step 3 was to organize the data. So how can you display this data to understand it better? Do we need to graph it? Do we need to chart it? Do we need to put it in a database? How will the data be organized best to share the desired results? And then what conclusions can you draw from the data? Step 4 was share the data. So who needs to hear the results from this data? Does the data need to be shared in a PLC? Do we need to share it in an in-service with district stakeholders? And what do others say about the results from the collected data? Step 5 was set goals based upon the data. So what goals need to be established since collecting the data? What kinds of implementations need to take place to meet the desired goals? Are the goals individual or are they school-wide? When do you want the goals to be completed? And what recommendations do those have that you share the data with? Step 6 was to progress monitor. What needs to be set in place to help monitor the goals? Who is in charge of collecting the new data, and how often will you collect data/progress monitor things? And then 7 is you've got to reflect on the whole process, but you've also got to establish new goals. So you've got to reflect, but you've also got to see what can be done differently next year to see better results. Is there different implementations? Are there different things that need to be done? Is there anything that you can change in your teaching to improve the data for the future? What additional needs or data would be helpful for the future? And then is there a different/better way to meet the goal? And then at the bottom, I just left a spot for teachers to put additional thoughts or comments or concerns. But I really feel like this is a handy tool for teachers, and I really feel like it will benefit them in like breaking down how to analyze data better because, like I've said, my school doesn't have anything to help teachers analyze data. And I think if they were given this, even with little explanation and little training, it would lead them on a better track than where they're at now.